What are different zones of wind affecting a bullet? Have you ever wondered how wind impacts the path of a bullet? Understanding the different zones of wind can significantly improve your shooting accuracy. Let's break it down. When a bullet is fired, wind does not affect its entire flight path equally. Shooters typically divide the bullet's trajectory into three main zones: near wind, mid-range wind, and far wind. The first zone is the near wind zone. This zone is within about 100 yards from the shooter. Wind in this area has the greatest influence on the bullet's initial trajectory. It acts on the bullet early in its flight. Adjusting for near wind is essential because it sets the baseline path the bullet will follow. Even small changes in wind speed or direction in this zone can cause noticeable horizontal deflection, often referred to as wind drift. Next, we have the mid-range wind zone. This zone extends from 100 yards out to about 500 yards. Wind in this area continues to push the bullet off course during the middle portion of its flight. Shooters must account for mid-range wind, especially in long-range shooting. Ignoring it can lead to the bullet drifting further from the aiming point. Finally, we reach the far wind zone. This zone includes wind near the target, generally beyond 500 yards. Although the bullet spends less time in this zone, wind can still cause minor deflections. At extreme distances, even small deviations caused by far wind can be significant. Experienced shooters consider this zone when making final adjustments. Understanding these zones helps shooters prioritize which wind effects to compensate for during a shot. Near and mid-range winds are usually the most impactful, while far wind plays a smaller but still relevant role. Wind direction is also important. A crosswind, blowing perpendicular to the bullet's trajectory, causes the most horizontal drift. Tailwinds or headwinds, blowing along the bullet's path, mainly affect the bullet's velocity and vertical point of impact. However, their effects are generally smaller than those of crosswinds. Wind speed changes within these zones can vary. Observing natural indicators like grass movement, dust, or tree branches helps in estimating wind strength and direction at different distances. The bullet's shape, weight, velocity, and ballistic coefficient influence how much wind affects it. More aerodynamic bullets with higher velocity resist wind drift better, but no bullet is immune to wind effects. In practical terms, recognizing these wind zones allows shooters to make informed adjustments. For example, when shooting at 300 yards, focus on near and mid-range wind readings to adjust aim or scope settings. In archery, while arrows are slower and more affected by wind than bullets, the concept of wind zones still applies. Early wind has a greater effect on arrow flight, so assessing wind close to the shooting point is essential. By understanding these wind zones and learning to read the wind at each stage, shooters and archers can improve their accuracy and consistency in the field.